You're now listening to Radio India on Worldwide Digital Stream, radio for a better world.
Radio 1 presents The Talk at 12. The Talk at 12 with Lakshmi Pratury.
The Talk at 12, in discussion with Mr. Neeraj Kakkad, an alumni from the Wharton School of Business and the CEO of Hector Beverages, who has brought back drinks and memories with Paperboat.
Hey Neeraj. So, you are the founder of Paperboat, right? And you make some of the most traditional drinks. How did you guys come up with that idea of making these kind of drinks?
2012, like summer, four of us used to sit together and have lunch every day. And three of us used to bring lunch from home. So Haas's mom is probably the best cook I have ever known. So she used to give Ampanna to Suhas every day in a flask. So we used to finish lunch and share with each other like good kids. And however that flask of Ampanna we used to fight over, like every single day for every single draw, amongst four of us. One day, I think somewhere around August, James's parents were visiting from US, and he said that I want Ampanna because, he wanted them to have an Indian experience, and so he wanted to give them Ampanna. And so we searched around that the whole afternoon, making phone calls here and there and trying to find Ampanna on street. And then a couple of our friends told that those restaurants make it. We actually searched in those restaurants. But in August of 2012, we were not able to find any Ampanna anywhere. And that was in some sense probably a eureka moment for us because, we think, why is this drink, which is has a history of more than hundreds of years, the product is not available all of a sudden. And it got us thinking. So on that day, in jest, we said that, okay, we'll make our own Ampanna. It kept coming back to us. And we finally ended up making these traditional beverages 6 months from that moment.
But you didn't actually start with Ampanna. You started with something else. So what was the drink you actually started with?
Yeah, so we started with Jaljeera and Amra. So Ampanna, so we thought we'll make Ampanna, and we are in drinks business. And it's easier to make because all mom can make it, so can we. And so we searched around trying to find green mangoes, Now, green mango is a very hard product. It's not very easy to pulp it, So in India, there is humongous amount of, processing facility available for ripe mangoes, but nothing for green mango. It took us almost 1.5 years to actually convince few of the processors in Andhra Pradesh to process green mango for us. They had to put in special processing equipment and make a lot of capex investment. And you can only do the processing in 4 or 5 days of the year because otherwise the mango start losing its green note. So that was the process. It took us a lot of time to make Ampanna, but there were easier products like Amras and Jaljeera to make, which we started with in 2013.
Okay, we heard about the eureka moment.
Yes.
When we come back, we'll hear more about how they came up with the name Paperboat.
Radio 1 presents The Talk at 12. The Talk at 12 with Lakshmi Pratury.
The Talk at 12, curated by Ink Talks. Brought to you by Eye2Eye, Idea to Incubation, an MBA in Entrepreneurship by Jain University. To be an entrepreneur, log on to www.jainuniversity.ac.in.
Radio 1 presents The Talk at 12. The Talk at 12 with Lakshmi Pratury.
The Talk at 12, in discussion with Mr. Neeraj Kakkad, an alumni from the Wharton School of Business and the CEO of Hector Beverages, who has brought back drinks and memories with Paperboat.
So now this is about drinks and this is about traditional drinks, etc. Where does the word paperboat come from? It has nothing to do with drinks.
Yeah, it has actually, it has a lot to do with drinks, specifically these drinks. When we were first started talking about these drinks and we talked, we were talking about this idea to our friends and family. And every single person who's told us about a drink, it was always about the memory of that drink. So I had my memory of a drink called Kanji made of purple carrot, and Suhas had this Ampanna memories, and so many other people around us. There's a Tamilian friend who had a memory of Neermore. And we said memories are very strongly associated with these drinks which we are trying to make. And we searched for the most beautiful memory all of us had in common, which cuts across geography and age group. And we found Paperboat to be that memory. And hence we thought that's the apt name for this range of drinks which you're going to launch.
You have a drink, you have a name, and you guys have done something very, very interesting about the packaging as well. And, you actually stand out in the stores today. So where did this idea of that particular packaging come from?
See, as a philosophy of the company, we worship design. We think design should be at the core of everything what we do. And the basic philosophy of design is to take this like something and make it in a better form for people to consume. The objectives were to break the clutter from whatever is available on the shelf right now. The second was to make it less expensive than the other options which are available. And the third, which do not get us a lot of consumer points so far, but is important for us, is to make it more environment friendly. So that's when these are the objectives when we started with and started designing our packaging. James, who is a co-founder who was working with a packaging company before coming to Boston, he's an expert in it, and we took Elephant Design, which is the India's best design agency, their help, and both of them put together came up with this packaging at that point.
So now we've heard about packaging. When we come back, we'll hear about one of the most important questions all startups face is, how do you pick your investors?
Radio 1 presents The Talk at 12. The Talk at 12 with Lakshmi Pratury.
The Talk at 12, curated by Ink Talks. Brought to you by Eye2Eye, Idea to Incubation, an MBA in Entrepreneurship by Jain University. To be an entrepreneur, log on to www.jainuniversity.ac.in.
Radio 1 presents The Talk at 12. The Talk at 12 with Lakshmi Pratury.
The Talk at 12, in discussion with Mr. Neeraj Kakkad, an alumni from the Wharton School of Business and the CEO of Hector Beverages, who has brought back drinks and memories with Paper Boat.
Here you are, you start a company with all your co-founders, it's your passion, it's something you always wanted to do, and it is memories, this traditional drinks. So there's a lot of, personal involvement in this. Now comes the issue of money, right? You need to raise the money. You need to have people who'll write a check. How do you go about picking the right investor who will allow you to do what you do, but at the same time will push you to the next level?
I think we are extremely fortunate about this. There couldn't have been anything better which had happened in my life than picking up the right investor. So we got NRN at the beginning of it. We were on paper at that point of time. There was like nothing. There was like a PowerPoint presentation, and we went around searching for money, and we were introduced to NRN. He was excited about the project. He loves entrepreneurship, right? He has built such a large company like Infosys from scratch, and he wanted to promote it in India. I think that's one of his objectives, and we were one of the first few companies he invested in. Extremely fortunate, absolutely the right place, right time to meet him and get the investment from him.
But why Narayan Murthy? Because, is there something that you were as an individual that resonated with you of what Narayan Murthy was? There are many people who are very accomplished in India. So why did you feel that kinship with Narayan Murthy?
Yeah, I think you're right. There are many accomplished people, but a child growing up in 1990s in small town India, Narayan Murthy changed many of our lives forever. See, when you're growing up in a small town, your ambitions are limited. I grew up in a colony where there are officers' quarters and there are subordinate quarters, and I was living in the subordinate quarters. In the early stages of your life, your ambition is to go only to, the officers' quarter. You want to become a SDO of an electricity board and have a Jeep. But NRN, when he made Infosys what it is, he changed the dreams and ambitions for so many people across all of small town India. I think he is the first person who came out of small town and started thinking big, and I think that is quite inspirational, and he changed our lives directly or indirectly, and he was the right person for us to go and ask money for.
So we've heard about how Neeraj and his co-founders picked the right investors. When we come back, we'll talk about what lays in the future for Paperboat.
Radio 1 presents The Talk at 12. The Talk at 12 with Lakshmi Pratury. The
Talk at 12, curated by Ink Talks. Brought to you by Eye2Eye, Idea to Incubation, an MBA in Entrepreneurship by Jain University. To be an entrepreneur, log on to www.jainuniversity.ac.in.
Radio 1 presents The Talk at 12. The Talk at 12 with Lakshmi Pratury.
The Talk at 12, in discussion with Mr. Neeraj Kakkad, an alumni from the Wharton School of Business and the CEO of Hector Beverages, who has brought back drinks and memories with Paper Boat.
You've established a great company and you are, in multiple cities and I'm sure have some big plans for Paperboard. So what lays in the future for Paperboard in terms of the variety of drinks or where you want to take it? What's the future?
I think the first thing, the objective is to create an organization which can sustain itself for 100 odd years. That's the first objective. And you work with that objective. Every single day you wake up, you are creating an organization which can sustain itself with or without you. See, we started in India, but we do not think we are an Indian company. We're a global company. We have global ambitions. So we started with India as one market, but we want to go ahead and, put it outside, take these drinks globally to different markets. And I think that's something there on the short-term objective list.
Okay. So, but I have to push you a little bit on this and say that when you say, you started in India, but you want to be a global company, are you going to at some point say, what does it mean for you to be Indian as well as global? Where's your identity going to be?
Yeah, I think that's I'm glad you asked that question. So at some stage, so when we formed the company, I was studying at Wharton and we registered the company first in Philadelphia, Hector Beverages LLC, and it's registered in my house address in Philadelphia. For the first 6 or 8 months, on all our packs, we used to write head office Hector Beverages LLC Philadelphia. And in some sense, I believe that if I write that, the sales would be more, however, I think, I was totally wrong. I think the thing which is important to notice is India has changed a lot in last 15 years. The change is humongous. It's mind-boggling the way we are becoming as a race far more confident in our own identity and our own skin than we were before. Now there is far less fascination with the foreign goods and foreign cousins than it was in 1990s or, early 2000s. If we would have launched Jaljeera in late 90s, probably people might not have accepted it well, but now when, a young kid is okay to say in a group of people that Jaljeera or Ampanna is my most favorite drink rather than something which is foreign sounding.
So in some ways, we're all becoming very comfortable in our own skin and what we like, and that's what's sort of helping Paperboat to be successful as well.
Yes, and it is happening at such a fast pace. The change, so the fascination with foreign goods were there for hundreds of years. And there are reasons for, in history why it was there. But in last 10 or 12 years, all of a sudden, there is so much more confidence in your own ability and your own taste and, being comfortable with yourself. That's beautiful. It's probably one of the most beautiful part of living in India right now.
And what's interesting to me is that it's not even, there are some even nationwide acceptable drinks like Golgappe ki pani or something like that. But then there are things that are very regional, and now you're getting into very, very regional drinks as well. I mean, you can be as specialized as you can be, and still there's a demand. Tell us a story of how you got an idea for a drink by talking to someone, or so. Just give us an example of how the ideas come.
So we launched this Sattu as product, and so we launched Sattu as a product. It's not very well known outside Bihar and Eastern UP, but there is a staple drink. That drink was made through generations, because the laborers who were working in farmlands and under extreme heat, they used to survive by drinking that. So that drink has a lot of importance in our history. So we launched that drink, and the drink was put in Indigo Airlines, one of our channel partners. And I was traveling in the first couple of days, and there's this gentleman. So I asked the air hostess to just check the feedback on how this new drink is doing. And there I found, so she went around asking somebody who picked it up. This guy, he came to me, he said, why are you asking about this feedback on Sattu? And I said, because I work with Paperboat. He said, it's the exact same taste which he used to have for last 40 years of his life in breakfast time every single day, and he was from a very small town in northern Bihar, and, he practically hugged me at that point of time on bringing that memory back alive for him. And I think that itself is a reward, for doing whatever we are doing. So that is very big. That's a very big moment for me personally.
So Neeraj, thank you so much for taking your time and taking us through the journey of Paperboat, and we look forward to seeing Paperboat when we travel anywhere in the world. I want Golgappe ki pani there.
Radio 1 presents The Talk at 12. The Talk at 12 with Lakshmi Pratury.
The Talk at 12, curated by Ink Talks. Brought to you by i2i, Idea to Incubation, an MBA in Entrepreneurship by Jain University. To be an entrepreneur, log on to www.jainuniversity.ac.in.
You're now listening to Radio India on Worldwide Digital Stream, radio for a better world.
Radio 1 presents The Talk at 12. The Talk at 12 with Lakshmi Pratury.
The Talk at 12, in conversation with Nihal Bateja, the Chief Investment Officer at Red Lounge Wealth Management.
Hi Nihal.
Hi, how are you doing?
Good. So, I want to know all about you today. So, you're a complete Bangalore boy, a Josephite, a commerce graduate. So, when did you really know that you were interested in managing money?
Well, as a schoolboy, I always knew that if I have to achieve something in life, I need capital for that. And to gain capital, you need to save. And saving itself is just not enough. You need to also invest and grow that savings into potential capital, right? So that's when I started understanding about the value of money. And growing in a middle-class family, it was very evident that if I needed to realize my goals, I had to make sure that my savings were invested in such a way that I could achieve those goals and grow that money to basically achieve. So that's when it all started.
Okay. Now, you're talking way more than any high school kid would ever even think of, I think. Now, not only that, you actually did something with your ideas. You were actually managing your father's friend's money by the time you were in 12th grade or so. So tell us about how that came about.
Well, yes. That was when I didn't even have a PAN card. And since I didn't have a PAN card, I couldn't have an account of my own through which I could buy and sell stocks. So my dad introduced me to his friend who was, of course, in the industry and, he had a portfolio of his own. That is when it started off, wherein I went to him, met him, understood about, what he is doing. And eventually he trusted me. He trusted me with his portfolio. And when he gave me his money to manage, it was quite a surprise that, somebody would trust, a college-going kid with their money. But then it eventually turned out to be, very defining point of my career when I understood that if this is what I love doing, then I should turn this into a career. And I was able to do it well at that point in time. That's when it triggered that wealth management and financial advisory is what I wanted to get into.
And I think you had a great person who took care of you also in not just giving the money, also putting up with the mistakes that you made. You said that instead of buying, you sold and you made some mistakes, but still you continued to learn. So when we come back, I want to know more about your journey to starting Red Lounge.
Radio 1 presents The Talk at 12. The Talk at 12 with Lakshmi Pratury. Radio 1 presents The Talk at 12. The Talk at 12 with Lakshmi Pratury.
The Talk at 12, in conversation with Nihal Bateja, the Chief Investment Officer at Red Lounge Wealth Management.
So Nihal, you started your career working in the accounting department of Goldman Sachs, even though you were really interested in finance. And this ending up in accounting instead of finance has something to do with, oversleeping one day in college. So tell us about what happened.
Well, that's the day I would, most likely end up remembering for the rest of my life, because that was another turning point, the biggest turning point. So one day I turned up late to college, which is pretty, usual. Pretty often I turned up late those days to college because I was always a late sleeper. and a person who would never wake up on time in the mornings. So I end up to see my name on the notice board in the college, and that was the day when the electives were given out, and my name was put under the accounting elective section. So I was surprised that I'm a person who always loves finance, and I wasn't given a choice. So what happened? So the college authorities told me that, my teachers told me that, hey, listen, you didn't come, so it's not our fault, and majority of the students have already chosen finance, and we put you into accounting, so you have to study accounting. I was puzzled, but then I had to study accounting. I had no choice back then, and that continued when another twist in the tale happened when I got recruited to Goldman Sachs. And even though I was more keen and interested in finance, that's what we spoke about in my interviews as well, all about finance, but I was put into accounting. So I said, all right, so this is the second turning point, so again I have to work in the accounting department. But then love for finance was always there, so I was always involved in learning more about finance, even though I was doing something based on accounting. So I didn't give up on finance.
So after about 18 months of working, when you realized that this accounting thing was going to follow you a little bit longer, you decided to stop very comfortable position at Goldman Sachs and get into entrepreneurship. And actually your getting into entrepreneurship has something to do with a delayed flight. So tell us about it.
Yes, I had to take a call when I had to, move out of Goldman, because I always wanted to do something by myself. So when I, in 2010, when I left Goldman Sachs, so there was a brief period I started working with another Indian firm called International Money Matters, which was again very helpful for me in learning about my area of expertise, which is, to polish my fingers on finance. And then the delayed flight happened as one of those days again, which is going to redefine my career as an entrepreneur. So we were going to IIT Kanpur, and we had a workshop there on finance, which I was conducting. On the way back, since there was some fog during the January season, so our flights got rerouted to Mumbai, and we had 4 to 5 hours of time that we had to kill. And so myself, along with two colleagues of mine, at that point in time we were in Mumbai, and that's when we said that we have to start doing something by ourselves. We have to start a company and manage people's money. So that's what we knew at that stage, and that's when Red Lounge came into the picture. And Red Lounge also was the word which was the name Red Lounge also came about at that point in time, wherein we said that we want to give something which is very niche, very systematic service, very organized service, very classy service, and it has to be a red carpet service only for a few group of individuals who will be our clients and whose philosophy will go with our philosophy, which is investment-backed approach of making investments, got nothing to do with making quick money and a quick buck and exiting the market. So we said that if we want to be in this industry, let us term it as Red Lounge Wealth Management.
So that's great to have a red carpet treatment for somebody with whom you can manage your money. So I would love to find out more about what makes Red Lounge unique when we come back.
Radio 1 presents The Talk at 12. The Talk at 12 with Lakshmi Pratury. Radio 1 presents The Talk at 12. The Talk at 12 with Lakshmi Pratury.
The Talk at 12, in conversation with Nihal Bateja, the Chief Investment Officer at Red Lounge Wealth Management.
So Nihal, that day when you had the delayed flight, you had this long conversation. You were sitting with Mr. Abdul and Mr. Deepak of Basket Option, and they really convinced you to become an entrepreneur. Now, most of the time, you could have gone and worked for their company, etc. But you had a very unique arrangement with them to start Red Lounge. Tell us about it.
Well, yes. Actually, it started off as a basic conversation about what I do and what I am wanting to do in future. And then they also told me about their vision, about their businesses. And somehow synergies matched. The thoughts, got collaborated. And we said that we need to start another financial services company which help people manage their money, because there is a lack of financial literacy in the Indian market itself about what are the different financial products and opportunities, because India being a country where three things are very prominent, which is investments in real estate, gold, and fixed deposits. These are all the traditional methods of making investments. However, we also wanted to ensure that we reach out to people who are wanting to take a slight amount of risk with their money and also invest and participate in the growth story of India in the capital markets. So we said that, okay, if we can bring about an organization, we can start a firm as partners and we can grow that business and, make financial literacy also a factor so that people are aware about where they are investing and what they are getting into. So that would also help. So it was a collaboration of financial literacy with financial services that we started. And as partners, we had started, we then decided to start Red Lounge Wealth Management.
So instead of you just going to work for Basket Option to start a division, you decided to create a company in which you have a stake as well. So as an entrepreneur, it drives you much more to make it successful. Now, when you're running Red Lounge today, in typical financial services companies, you have relationship managers. You've done something really different to bring in that entrepreneurial streak within your company as well. So tell us about what is it that you're doing.
Absolutely. It was always and from the very first day all about entrepreneurship. Well, if it wasn't about entrepreneurship, we wouldn't have started the business itself. So we had to take that entrepreneurship zeal forward and, with the vision that we have from our chairman as well to create more entrepreneurs, which means that we had to incubate more businesses and like how my business got incubated by, Jain Group of Institutions and Basket Option. So we also had to take that forward and we said that the only way we could make a difference in the financial industry and we could, create a path-breaking route is through ensure that instead of relationship managers, we have entrepreneurs joining us. And when we have entrepreneurs joining us, they are more responsible, they are more growth-oriented about their business itself because they own a part of the business. So they are more loyal as well towards the organization because it's their business in itself. So unlike all the other banks and many other financial institutions which have relationship managers which, frequently change their jobs from one company to another, we don't have that kind of scenario wherein a client who comes to us has to deal with multiple people in, multiple parts of the year. So you just have one person whom you know, and of course the organization is also backing that person so that it becomes a little more value added and at the same point in time ensures that the trust of the client is there in the organization and he knows that the entrepreneur is taking care of him and not a relationship manager or an employee.
So Nihal, it's wonderful at such a young age. It's not only that you created an enterprise in which you're an entrepreneur, but you're also creating an environment where you just don't have employees. You have a bunch of stakeholders who own what they're doing. So it's really great you're creating this atmosphere. One of the things is there's a lot of people out there who want to convert their passion into profession and are wondering how they can go about it. So when we come back, we'll hear your advice to them.
Radio 1 presents The Talk at 12. The Talk at 12 with Lakshmi Pratury. Radio 1 presents The Talk at 12. The Talk at 12 with Lakshmi Pratury.
The Talk at 12, in conversation with Nihal Bateja, the Chief Investment Officer at Red Lounge Wealth Management.
It's really amazing. You're so young and you created something where everyone has a stake in it. There's no employer-employee relationships, and that's truly, truly remarkable about what you're creating. So what kind of an advice do you have for entrepreneurs in general who are starting? What do you think they should do or learn from, or any piece of advice you have for them?
Well, I think as startups and as young entrepreneurs, what we have to first realize is that what we are good at doing. And if we are good at doing something, we have to be the best at it. And if once we are convinced with ourselves that we are doing something, that we are going to do it for good and we are going to do, the better job than somebody else, the next more important thing is to have a very strong vision of taking the business to the next level, converting that idea into a business and that business into a futuristic business model which will be sustainable. And if you're doing a business, you better be on top of your game and do it for a longer period of time than look at short-term winners.
What if you don't know what you really want to do? You end up in accounting instead of finance. Then what? Is it a waste of time to do that?
No, not at all. When I was given my elective in accountancy, at that point in time, I was a little disappointed, and I said that, okay, what next for me? And then I land up in Goldman Sachs, where again I am doing an accounting-based job. So when I look back today, nothing has really gotten waste. So the knowledge which I have understood in my college days about accounting is coming in handy right now. So it was a blessing in disguise. So I would always encourage people to be very sound in their academic world.
I think that's great. I think it's wonderful how you brought forward learning is wonderful no matter what it is. So congratulations for turning your passion into a profession, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Radio 1 presents The Talk at 12. The Talk at 12 with Lakshmi Pratury.